voices in my brain. And baby, they're saying I'm insane. You know you are alive. Baby, can't look me in my eyes. Yeah, baby, you got me on the run. I said, baby, yeah, you made me get my gun. I'm talking about 12 years. Yeah.
What's going on, everybody? This is Isaac, and we are back at the shack. We had a Waco, Texas, everybody. We finally. I was thinking earlier how good it was to finally play a show. We hadn't played a show in a little bit. When's the last time we played a show?
I don't know.
Before Christmas.
Was it before Christmas?
Right around
you know,
then.
and
Was the bike deal.
a biker thing. But just to get out there and just jam with your buddies and get that aggression out. It's not to be happy any, but you know what I'm saying? Just to, and just besides that, I play at church and also on my couch with my guitar. Excuse me. And I do session stuff. That's about it. But as far as being in the band, there's nothing like playing with your brothers, on stage or whatever we did, And that one was a private thing, but still. And also, dude, just to feel the growl of the amp, playing the guitar. You know what I'm saying?
The applause. We actually had some applause.
Right.
We had some
nice.
clapping.
They people, the crowd, they
were
dug
into
it. They really dug it. The crowd really dug it. But man, it was good to do that. It's like I said, I'm a musician through and through. So, and I don't realize how much I miss it until I don't have it. It's like, man, it is what it is. But once we got it out there, man, it's like, man, it felt good to go back and play. I don't know. Also, not to mention playing with my boy Sammy and playing with you. As if folks don't know, we are in a band called Los Roaches, and just to do that with your homeboys, golly, that's the best. That's the best. To see Jimmy K,
And actually, having one of our former members come in and kick it in the ass,
right,
brought some new energy. Felt
right.
good, and
that's right.
He's such a pleasure to be around because he's funny and he's got his life back in order and he's doing all the stuff. He's
right.
Being a grandpa and all that,
He's still jamming though. Still jamming with that. What's
Far From Reach.
Far From Reach,
yeah,
and they're doing things over here.
Mm-hmm.
They're a really good band. Their singer, it's a girl singer. She can belt it out.
What kind of stuff do they play?
I grew up with her mom.
Oh, really?
No, literally.
Yeah, it's like we're just classic rock, but they do some original stuff too. So I don't know.
Cool.
I don't know what to say because they do some original stuff too, and they're always playing at the backyard in Waco.
I don't know if there's secular vibes to it or if it's straight up rock, or I'm not real sure. I
I
haven't
don't,
actually
I
listened
don't
to
know.
content.
I
of
don't
it.
know, but I know that girl can belt it out. I think
Yeah.
she was something like.
She got a growl.
Hey, remember that? Remember we had her Lewis in that one podcast. That one girl singer. Did she say she sang like opera or classical or something like that? It wasn't rock or jazz or something like that.
Like folk?
No, it wasn't that. It was something really aggressive.
Norwegian death metal.
Damn.
Norwegian death metal.
Do you have to be Norwegian?
Lewis said folk.
It has to be Norwegian. It has to be
Perhaps
Norwegian.
folk. No, I think it was something like that. But anyway, but she's got the chops. You know, her
She does.
her husband when they first met, they started dating. They needed a rock singer. She didn't know. She goes, "I'll try," and they knew the first date that was gonna be. That's a singer. We just got to
Oh wow.
shape her into rock, and now she's got a hold of it. But she grew up listening to rock. It wasn't that really that difficult. I'm sure as a good somebody who can sing anything like classical or whatever, definitely can sing commercial. If they, maybe if they had to, listen to it enough.
What,
think-
did you ever like that band, Evanescence? You remember
Yeah.
when that came out?
They're right down the road, and aren't they one from Temple?
That was Flyleaf.
Oh, it's Flyleaf. That's right. That's right.
Evanescence was what was her name? Amy.
Yeah,
Amy Lee, something like that.
That was, dude. I mean, I'm sure they're still kicking, but I think it's
She
just
had a
her
voice.
and some other, I don't know who's singing for them now. And
Evanescence is going back touring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they just toured with that other like hard rock singer that did the Skid Row song.
that one, I don't know who she is,
I
but
can't remember her name.
Gabriel, turn up on the blue knob a little bit, Lewis.
You
No,
know
on the
what I'm
blue
talking
knob over here.
Uh,
Yeah, 8.
Lizzie Hill.
That's it.
Hellstorm.
Hellstorm.
Dude.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
she's
was
great.
an
Thank you,
eye
Gabe.
opener.
Yeah.
Right.
When she did that Skid Row song,
Yeah.
I was
Have
like,
you know those
Yeah,
guys?
yes. I did. And that's cool. The way that style of rock is being recognized now. At one time, I can remember it was in maybe, of course, it had to have been like early 2000s, something like that, when that whole 80s rock thing, people were so frustrated and tired of it, they didn't want to be associated with it. It was almost embarrassing. I stayed to it. I liked it. I was still jamming Motley Crue because I loved them. I still, I just liked it. Now, that kind of stuff right now it seems starting to be like the cool thing to do, and or maybe not the cool thing, but it's not cheesy like it was. Almost all of that old music right now is being accepted because I don't know any music right now. Any rock music is not being accepted.
well, I think that they're bringing all this old stuff back so they can go ahead and sell the catalogs because
Right.
they're not gonna make another fucking dollar from
well,
it.
yeah,
They're just calling it
exactly.
retro.
They're not gonna make any money. Spotify,
All right.
so they're not gonna do that. But
They're just
We're
calling
gonna-
it retro.
that's
Well,
it.
you're
That's
gonna-
it.
backing.
You're gonna see it in commercials of all
It's
kinds.
just
Dush
nostalgia. That's all it
commercials.
is.
Yeah, there we go. Nostalgia.
Yeah, it
Thank
is.
you,
It
Lewis.
is.
Yeah, a friend of mine told me he was at
Massive
HEB
deal.
and he heard Diary of a Madman.
On
That is
Muzak.
crazy.
Yeah,
On a
at
speaker?
at HEB.
Was it the
Oh.
real
Just
song?
It was a real song.
Buying,
okay.
buying groceries,
It's a real
listening
song.
to Ozzy Osbourne.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you were a kid.
You know you're old.
When you were a kid, like, when that was out, I was like maybe, it was out early. I didn't know about that music till I was like about 13 or so, but you'd never think that would ever be something you hear in the
Accepted.
grocery store. Not even that, maybe even at Waco Radio at one time, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
'Cause it was
Yeah.
just, that, when I lived out there, in the country and in the small town by Waco, I would, back in the old days, you stick in antennas to your radio and try to just use a
Get a good
coat
station.
wire just to try to get something
Dude,
out of
you
Dallas
But
foil that
or
thing
Houston.
Up, man.
Anything besides country, you tried to listen to.
Yes.
Q102.
Juno 102.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
strongest station was always the country stations.
Yeah,
Always.
Of course, this is Texas, which is
Yeah.
great, which is awesome. But when you're 13 years old and you're playing rock guitar, you want something.
Yeah.
Just something. And I would occasionally pick up one out of Houston. And,
Okay, LOL.
I don't know who it
KLOL.
was,
Yeah,
but man,
yeah.
it was so cool. I mean, I remember listening to Iron Maiden, but this was before
They made
Bruce Dickinson
Yeah.
was singing, and it was just it was kick ass to catch that on a Saturday night if the stars aligned and the wind was just right.
Yeah, dude, they had
You know
a
what
show.
I'm
They
saying?
had a
Cloud
show
in
on
the
there
skies.
called. They had a show on there called Rockline, I don't know if y'all remember that, but it was like a talk show with musicians, right?
Right.
Back then there wasn't a whole lot of that going on, so you never heard Steven Tyler, give an interview. You could read the interview, maybe you could catch a bit of it on TV,
And
but
you
this
can
was-
imagine what it would sound like
yeah,
without the vocals.
and this was a full 30 minutes, right? So it was KLOL, and they would do Rockline, which I think Rockline was
It was
like,
a phone in.
it was a phone in, and it was syndicated, right?
And
So
yeah, they would
Right.
catch him in the
Coast to
morning
coast.
sometimes.
and
They're
the
like,
first,
Yeah.
first time I ever heard the Archangels was on Rockline.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah, so I heard the interview, and then at the end they played "Sent by Angel."
Wow.
Mm.
Is
And
this
I-
not? Is this like? Are they doing acoustic or is that
No,
just,
no, no.
Just,
They
they're
would
just rolling. They're just rolling their music.
interview, and they would just play the tune at the end off the
Gotcha.
album.
And so was it Bromhall and Sexton?
It was Bromhall, Sexton, I believe Chris Layton.
Oh, Chris Layton left the
Oh,
house.
and,
Yeah,
Shannon.
Tommy Shannon ain't gonna interview.
oh,
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, that dude played Woodstock.
yeah.
I'm good. Y'all got this, fellas.
Yeah, I
Y'all
was like,
good?
I was at Woodstock.
He's like Joe Walsh.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. But hey, I think I've talked to both of y'all before. It's like when we were traveling, before satellite radio and before streaming on your phone, one of the coolest things was going from town to town because the radio stations were all different. So what you heard in West Texas was nothing what you heard in South
Oh, for
Texas.
It was a
Sure, right,
regional
sure.
deal.
And
Yeah,
the
definitely,
Rock was always by a program director from Houston, right? Or you go to Amarillo.
But Houston had a little bit. They had something going for them. They were known for the little corner in Texas for being very big and still, and like hard rock or metal and rap.
That's what I was thinking about. Right?
Both
yeah,
of them.
yeah,
Yeah.
Both of them. They had at least that going for them.
yeah.
They at least had that going.
Well,
for 'em.
Austin was supposedly the Mecca.
Well, that's where the Archangels were at.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was.
That's
and
where and speaking of that,
And that's when
I
the-
just got it. Go ahead.
that's when the artists would actually show up at the radio stations with their
Album.
press kit.
Press kits.
And
Yes.
it was an unsaleable CD.
Yes,
It was
yeah,
a press
yeah,
kit.
I have a couple of those.
Yeah.
I ended up with a whole box of stuff,
Yeah.
like a Live's first one, and some people like that.
And that was so cool. It's like you go to Houston, and it's heavier stuff, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And then the closer you got to Austin, the more blues stuff that you would hear, or like what do they call it?
Americana.
Americana.
Americana, yeah,
Americana.
that's
you got to get
They-
around San Antonio.
Yep,
so
you get to
got
San
the
Antonio.
Tejano.
start hearing some.
You get to San Antonio, and if it was rock, it was all Iron Maiden, all Metallica,
Right.
right? Ozzy Osbourne,
Right.
And it was all over the place.
Austin,
The White Owl.
Man,
Sprinkle
Austin,
hear a little Tejano music every once in a
Yeah,
while.
and
This-
this
it
is
sucks
pre
that-
iHeart. You
It
know,
sucks that I missed a lot, or actually, I missed almost every bit of that Austin thing when it was cool. And it was bands playing in every corner. I remember going through that a little bit as far as playing through there. It had already started dying down, and was not the 6th Street
No, it's all
that
DJs.
was legendary. Because
Yeah.
Austin was known around the world for being the world's most. It was a live music capital of the world,
right.
and then now is nowhere
Every other
close
bar,
to that.
yeah. And Saturdays, every other bar was a live music,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
and
It
then
was-
you have people on the streets playing live music.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. It was, but I don't think I really got to enjoy that much because, and I'm 51. You got to think about that. I'm 51, so when I turned like 21 or 22, it kind of was like that. But Stevie Ray Vaughan had just died, and then Archangels were playing around town, but really not that much. You know what I'm saying? You had Ian Moore, and that was kick ass. But then. Well, you know what? He would be around there, but that and then became the whole Steve Moore, Chris Duarte. Everybody wanted to take over Stevie Ray Vaughan, fill his boots.
Yeah, I
So-
caught
so
a
to
bunch
say.
of those cats.
But it was that for a little bit, and then what happened after that?
I don't
DJs.
know. I started going down there in the like mid '90s, and it was still pretty heavy.
Right.
The first wave of that stuff was like in the what do they say, the late '70s, early '80s, when all those cats moved from Dallas to Austin.
Right. That
Right,
was
right,
it. That
right.
was it. But
And-
I was just a teenager.
Yeah,
back
we
then.
weren't around for that, but like in the '90s, I caught Ian Moore and Eric Johnson and I think would you say Chris Duarte?
Chris Duarte.
I
for
saw
sure.
Chris Duarte a couple times.
And Thunderbirds. That was all those guys. Those guys
I saw
there.
those guys. what's happening right now is the guys from Austin that live in Austin in that area, they do not go downtown. They don't want to be in 6th Street. They're not playing 6th
That's
Street.
what I hear.
Yeah.
It's those places like Antone's. You know, when we hung with Jeff that
Yeah,
time,
yeah,
for sure.
he was trying to, kind of tell us what was going on. But it's since COVID's kind of released Austin a little bit,
Right.
You're seeing a lot of resurgence. You're seeing a lot of people from UK and Europe that play
Wow.
blues and stuff coming into
Well,
town.
there's,
Really?
Yeah, we were down there one night,
Yeah.
and remember those cats? They were from
Playing blues and stuff.
Japan,
I remember that. I remember
What?
that day.
and yeah, dude,
Were
they
they singing or were they just playing?
Oh,
they
they
were
were doing
all of
everything.
it, man.
Well,
That
they-
dude was playing a chromatic harmonica.
They
And
were.
it was
They
like
were
this
jamming.
big, and he was on it.
They were jamming. You couldn't understand what they were
They can't
saying.
really
That's all-
interview, but they could.
You gotta,
No, they
why
would.
you got to go there?
Yeah.
They would actually. They were singing English, right?
Yeah,
They were.
singing-
They were actually mimicking.
Broken,
Yeah.
broken English?
No,
or
no,
No,
they were
no,
singing
no.
it.
they
It
were
was.
singing
They were
Oh,
singing
okay.
it.
They mimicked it, and then after
But
that,
they
it was-
just
Well, yeah, okay.
they
much-
just wanted to go play in the live music capital of the world. You know.
Well, what's weird is like how it flip flopped because Nashville during that whole time was just Nashville.
right.
country. It was country.
It was like
music.
where you went to get a record deal.
You're right.
That
right.
was it.
But at some point, it like flip flopped, and Nashville became a music mecca, right?
Right.
And we went,
Right.
and then, it was like forever, man. It's like I couldn't understand it. I went, well, it's just gonna be like a bunch of country guys, right? But that was I don't know, early 2000s. Now, dude, all the rock guys are moving to Nashville.
Really?
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
Well, Nashville right now is not the Nashville it was when I lived there. I lived there around between 05. No, yeah, about 05. And it was like Sammy was saying, it was country. You know, we'd go out, and I forget what there was a few parts of Nashville that had their little music spots, and there was one spot I can't think what it was called, but it was we went there, Sammy. I'll tell you about this, but anyway, it was 3 buildings, and we went to one of those the Americana Music Conference. But one of those buildings had this big old fat dude. This dude was a big old fat redhead dude with glasses. Had to play sitting down. There was an organ player and a drummer, and they were one of the baddest blues bands I ever heard in my life.
Really?
Getting down, golly! And then Nashville was just, and there was people were digging it.
Really?
But you go, all the outskirts of Nashville back then was.
They probably never got a record deal because you can't market someone like that.
Well, yeah, I guess, but the outside of the of Broadway and 2nd Street, that's where the musicians or the locals went to go, and all that stuff on 2nd Street. And of course, Broadway was they were all musicians, but from Nashville, wherever. But that was mainly for the tourists,
Yeah.
But
yeah.
the places that weren't downtown, man, they had some of the coolest music in Nashville. Now, Nashville's everything right now. Nashville is rock, blues, country,
It's everything.
hip hop, everything right now.
What's another music town like that?
That like Austin and Nashville, man. I don't
I'd say
know.
Chicago.
I don't know.
I was
but,
going to say
but-
LA,
but,
but I don't think LA's
Yeah, I was
that
gonna
big.
say LA is still kicking. What I was gonna say is I don't think Seattle. I think Seattle took a big hit.
That's
oh,
right.
dude!
After the
yeah.
grunge, after the whole grunge scene,
Because
they took a big hit, and the whole. I know it sounds cheesy, but I've heard many interviews. Just the whole climate alone, the weather alone over there sucks so bad, and it's just
it made you
it
write
just-
grunge
yes,
music.
Right.
and
Yeah,
that,
man. I've always thought about that Seattle thing was so unique. Was that those cats really weren't looking for that?
True
They
that.
they were just kind of like, under the radar, and then it's like one day the lid got pulled on, and somebody said, "Oh wow, we can market this."
It was like night.
Right.
It was like, literally was like night and day. Day being the '80s and the
partying
night,
scene,
night
and then
being
you
the
have
grunge.
grunge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It came from the music videos is how it came into our houses.
Right.
Yeah.
Music video.
It was so different than the videos with like all the girls and the motorcycles and all that stuff. Here's cats that were like in like torn up looking clothes playing guitar. Like,
Almost look normal, right?
yeah, we were musicians, but I'd never seen a Fender Mustang or somebody play one on purpose.
I
You
do
never,
know-
you
I
never
do-
saw somebody with a with just a regular jacket on. It's like, oh, wait a second, he's wearing what I usually wear.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, at that time, I remember Sam and I were in high school, and I wanted to play that music, you know, as a teenager. But later on, once we started getting around junior, senior, Sam and I and this buddy of ours named Tony were writing stuff that would have been considered alternative, and because it was just, even though I liked that music, you know, it was just so tiresome when everywhere on the radio was that music, and everywhere on television was that music, and we just wanted
It got oversaturated.
we wanted to just clear the room a little bit, clear the air, and we had a little cool little trio. And we would play places, but it was cool. It was original music, but it was something that was not 80s music, and this is like in the late 80s. And the 90s came around, I guess. And I guess, am I right, Sam? It's like 89 or so whenever we were jamming with Tony Hyden and that, right?
I think so.
And
yeah.
Anyway, but when the 90s came, I remember.
Y'all were babies.
We were babies.
Yeah, and I remember listening to.
I was in L.A. in '87.
Writing tunes.
We were
record
always
them into a
creating,
boom
always
box,
writing.
You know.
And
Yeah,
then Nirvana came out. I remember I was living
Those were the
with
good
my
old days.
sister.
Those were the good old days.
I was living with my sister when I was going to MCC, and which is called the 13th grade, and I remember hearing that song.
Smells like Teen
Smells
Spirit.
like Teen Spirit, and it was like, what is that? And I'm a guitar player who tried to play all that fast stuff in the 80s. What this guy was playing was like a slap in the face to guitar because it was so easy.
It was
But
easy.
primitive.
Yeah, if
right?
you're thinking,
It's almost like
if you're thinking guitar technique, that was you're not supposed to be doing that.
Yeah.
Because that was not right. But he made it work, and it was a phenomenon.
And what got me was I didn't realize how turned on goth cheerleaders made me.
Right? I don't know. I'm a clean. I like it. I don't like.
now
it.
there's
I'm
a
a
whole-
clean freak. I'm
Now there's
a little dusting or something.
They had a little hair. I don't know.
But I remember when that happened. You know, that was like that really was. Sounds cheesy, but it really was like mind blowing. It's like, wow, because
There was so much shit going on in that commercial. I mean, that video.
Yeah, the video.
Every corner there was something
it
going
was
on.
just
Yeah.
so different from what was being on Top 40 MTV. It was just so different. It's like finally, you know what? The guys that you know where I got that. Well, it was something different. When I used to watch that show, 120 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
It was a little bit alternative, and that's what the stuff we were writing then.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, this is a kick-ass show. I mean, it was something that was not, like I said, I'm a huge Motley Crue fan, but it was something that was not Motley Crue because I was just had enough of it for a little bit.
It's like anything else, you know, like you get the guys who started, right?
Right.
A lot of times those cats, you know, in music anyway, like, and a lot of times those cats, they don't really ever make a whole lot of money. It's the guys who come in after that and kind of fine tune that, and then they take off with it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So like Nirvana, they weren't the OGs of Seattle music. There were already bands that were doing that before, like Mudhoney and Screaming Trees and all that. Was it
Mother Love Bone.
Love Bone
Yeah.
and Green River?
And let's just face it, they weren't accountants.
Right,
So-
right,
Right.
You
And,
know.
but it's
And
like
a lot
that-
of them sound sad to say, but a lot of them started out as already junkies already. They were in that lifestyle. That wasn't a fake lifestyle they were portraying. That was a real lifestyle.
Yeah, they had a lot to be depressed about.
Yes,
you know,
they were
Seattle.
spilling their guts.
Well, they look outside and they say, fuck, it's raining again. Let's
Yeah,
do
yeah.
some
What
heroin.
else?
Wait.
Yeah, what
They're
else?
like, well, what, how cold is it outside? 30. Well, yeah, let's go.
And so it was like, man, it was perfect timing,
Right,
right?
right.
Because in the '80s, you had the bands that started all that the glam rock stuff, you
Right.
know, Motley Crue and Rat and all that. But by the time that Nirvana came, man, you were like, you know, watching Britney Fox and what are they called, Pretty Boy Floyd and
I just said yes.
Enough's Enough, which I'm sure they're great people. But man, you heard Shout at the Devil. You know, that was the big one.
That was the real deal.
Or Out of the Cellar. And so you know,
Exactly.
Jamming that last
Yes,
week, man.
that-
yeah,
another
dude,
great-
yeah.
Blew the speakers out, man.
Wait, out of the cellar?
Out of
Out of
Cellar
Cellar,
by
okay.
Rat. Yeah.
So it starts
Yeah.
to water
Download
down,
it.
right?
Right.
And then at that point,
It's on
here
Amazon.
comes Kurt Cobain, and like you said, it's like you just needed a break from it, and then here comes this force of nature.
It blew my
People-
mind.
It was mind blowing.
Yeah,
It really was, because, like I said, it was not supposed to be like that. It was not supposed to be, guitar was not supposed to be like that easy for rock, unless you're AC/DC, which ain't easy, but still 3-chord songs that just bam, big, and they did it though, and it was a great melody. It was the whole thing that the record company was selling to you. That was Kurt Cobain. Kurt Cobain wasn't selling to you. That was just him on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But man, gosh, Lee. Hey, what do y'all have y'all did y'all ever look too deep? I mean, deep into the whole suicide / was it murder thing? Because
No,
I
I didn't
have
look too
checked in.
deep.
I have checked into it, and man, it's
And that's a
it
whole
does-
rabbit hole that
I mean,
you don't
it
want to go
does-
through.
I know, but it does look like she did it. I'm telling. I don't know. It does look like she.
With Courtney Love and
Yeah,
everything.
I don't know.
It's
We didn't want to
definitely
say
a
it.
murder because there was a documentary I watched where it kind of like points to that because she's been doing a lot of shady shit like behind the
scenes.
Yeah, behind the scenes.
Yes.
While Kurt was alive.
Well, she wasn't very good at it because she used birdshot. That means he sat there and bled for a long time.
That's what it was. Birdshot.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
But still, no.
Pellets.
But
Oh.
that close proximity. That's the thing.
Yeah. It
yeah,
hurts
it's
still
still-
like
it's
a
still gonna
son
hurt
of
him.
a- Hurts
But
like hell.
but
Hey, and
the whole. Go ahead, Sam.
I was gonna say when that happened, dude, that was earth shattering.
Oh,
Yeah.
dude, that was.
You know,
dude, I
Because
don't
you're
even
hurting
know.
musicians.
I don't know even how to explain it besides people, besides when Selena died and Tejano. It was like
Right,
the
yeah,
biggest
right.
person to die.
Right.
The biggest person to
I
die.
slightly remember being a kid and when John Lennon was
shot.
I know
Right.
where I was sitting.
and
You knew exactly what happened.
I remember coming
what
in
you were
and
doing.
it was on the news, but I think and of course the Stevie Ray Vaughan thing
Right.
was the first jolt of guys that we listened to.
That one blew my mind,
Right.
and
When
that was
when they-
another one at the height.
Yeah, they passed away in real time, right?
Right.
And then
Yes.
Cobain, and that was like, I mean,
That was a big one.
it's one
Yeah.
of those deals where you want to watch it again because you still haven't, your mind still doesn't process.
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
as truth,
Yeah. That's what
right?
they don't process it.
Foo Fighter did the documentary of them coming up and how they got started and all that stuff, and they were afraid the next phone call was going to be him OD'd. And,
Really?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It was an ongoing thing.
Yeah.
I can see that, but
They were just saying,
you can.
When
You can
is
see
They
this
that
just
with
don't
a
wait
lot
for
of
the
people.
call. Really.
yeah,
You can say that with a lot of people too. Same thing like Lane Staley. Same thing.
Dude, that's what.
like,
That's what I was gonna
you know.
say. Now I have gone and a guy wrote a good article on like the last 2 years of Lane Staley's life,
Right.
Mhm.
and it was a terrible existence.
Really.
Yeah.
His whole day was just consumed with just trying to score.
Gosh,
Oh.
I mean,
like-
he was a master, dude.
Wake
was
up.
he doing shows at that time?
No,
Okay.
in the last year or two of his life, he was just in his apartment.
What I don't get is
When they did that
musician-
MTV thing.
Yeah.
You remember when they did
Yeah,
the
yeah,
MTV?
yeah.
He was bad.
He was having a hard time.
What I don't get is when musicians more or less retire like that, how do they afford it? Do they sell? Where are they selling to get all this stuff at? Because the drug dealers are going like, here's this free.
Yeah, I think with that cat, like,
Dude, that's Lane Staley, dude. You kidding me?
yeah, if
Yeah.
I remember, like he had
But
somebody,
still, other musicians they're in a similar situation.
he had somebody close to him that would bring him
Yeah.
cash.
Yeah.
And then he had somebody that would come and they
Yeah, those guys,
cash.
man, let me tell you, dude, as
But,
as a musician, dude, we would get offered stuff on the road all the time. I never did take that wasn't my forte, but but
You're
yeah,
offered.
Yeah, dude, it was easy to. You're a musician. You're backstage. It's easy.
Well,
Oh, what are
hey,
these bills?
Here's what I always say about playing music, right? And you tell me if y'all ever thought about it like this, but musicians get to see the club before the lights go down, right? And so I'm using that as a metaphor, but what I'm saying is, man, you're operating under the radar, outside sometimes of the boundaries of the law, right? You have a mentality, and you're around people where normal things aren't taking place.
You're
you know?
peek behind the curtain.
You're
You're peeking behind the curtain, or you're behind the curtain.
You're doing all that, and I mean, And we're not on the level of like the Rolling Stones. Just amplify that by 1,000 if you're talking about the Rolling Stones.
Oh
You
yeah,
know?
this is Rolling Stones.
It's an entitlement though.
It's
It was an
Right,
entitlement.
okay.
It's like, well, we're here, we might as well.
yeah. You're operate. You know, you're not going to a normal day at the office. You know, you're kind of. It is a little outlaw. You know,
Right.
to some extent.
So you think most of it is, oh, it's this famous person here. Here's this.
I don't know.
You know, after they
man.
retire. You know, after
I
they
think
retire.
I think people want to say, I got this guy high.
That's exactly right. You have
Yes.
people who
I
they
gave-
like to be around musicians.
That's
Yeah.
exactly what that is.
Whoops, he OD'd.
well, I guess
They got a story to tell. You know.
yeah.
Yeah.
They got a
yeah.
story to tell. You know,
Hey,
even if it's anything with like a drink or marijuana or whatever, there's people the musicians will always get offered that because they got a story to tell.
Now the
It
flip
just
side
is.
of that is that you do meet some good people on the road who
For
are
sure.
really, really good people who are just music lovers. And dude, they know you're coming into town. They're there at sound check because they want to take you to dinner between sound check and the gig. So it's not all bad.
Mhm.
You know, it's just mostly bad.
I got a story that's almost the opposite of that. We just got in. We just got in Nashville. It was a long time ago. Just got in there, broke. You know why? Because I don't know if the rules changed or not. But whenever we played downtown Nashville, they didn't pay anything, so we were broke. And I remember we went to this one bar back then. It was called the Trap. It looked like a Texas dance hall. It was a big one. It was new. It was kick ass. And we walked in there and we were watching this girl doing a showcase. And this guy started talking to us and goes, whatever. And I guess he found out we're in a band. He goes, check this out. He goes, I'm going to buy you guys a shot. And this is a long time ago. A bunch of broke dudes. He goes, this shot's a $75 shot. You're supposed to sip it. We never had a shot like that before.
You know, you didn't sip it.
Dude, no, I did. I did because it was a five
It was
piece
probably
band.
bourbon. It was probably bourbon. Or,
It was a
or-
5-piece band, and I forgot what it was. It could have been a bourbon, and it was really good. But anyway, I'll never forget that. As a nice dude we met. Only thing is, he knew we were musicians, but he knew we were starving musicians because we were literally starving musicians. You know.
So you're saying he was a good
He was a good dude. We
Yeah,
met a
yeah.
good
There's
dude,
good.
man.
There's
and
good
that's
people
like,
out
man,
there.
sometimes you meet people like
Yeah.
that just don't want anything from you, but you maybe not even friendship, just to be a good person. You
Yeah.
know?
Right.
Yeah.
And you run into people like that. That's one of the good things about being a musician, dude. Go ahead, John.
Man, we
This is-
played at Scruffy Murphy's one time, and there was a band called Owl, and they did all originals, and we did Margaritaville and shit.
Okay. So how old were you then?
I was still probably early 30s,
Right. Gotcha.
maybe
Gotcha.
maybe
okay.
a little younger. No,
We're
I
only
think I'm about
32 now.
25. Yeah, 30.
But
But,
he just colored his hair.
So they played at Scruffy Murphy's, and they opened up for us.
Right.
And they played a 3-piece band, and they were kicking ass, dude.
Rock
And
or
it was
something?
it was rock. It
Right.
was alternative or whatever it was at the
Right.
time. And then we did our show, and they hung out because they didn't have anywhere to go.
Right.
We start loading up, and I walk by their van, and I mean they've got this van that's
Oh, were they sharing that cigarette? I don't think they were that poor.
no, they
Okay.
had a wadded up bag with lunch meat and a bottle of like ketchup or whatever, just shit that didn't match, you know. I walked by and I felt bad because they made like 100 and we made like 350.
Right.
Right.
And,
So
you're
I
down,
did-
and you live down the street.
Yeah, I lived down the street and they're having to go back to Oklahoma. The band was called Owl. Anyway, I ended up calling my brother. I said, "Hey man, you got room for 3 dudes to come over and crash out tonight?" So I ended up giving them $100 of my money because I knew that bread and that meat had been sitting on that.
Oh yeah.
All
Hey,
night. It's probably been there.
It
all
was
day and all night.
inedible.
Oh,
There was
yeah.
no doubt. There was no
It was
doubt.
slow cooking with the heat of the floor, probably.
Yeah.
They expected to make their money off the merch,
Oh,
and not a
man.
soul at
What
Baylor
for the
wanted it.
Waco
Yeah.
back then? Right now it's getting better, but back in the old days, dude,
Yeah.
that was the spot. You did not want to play if you were out of town.
I've
Waco,
I've
Texas.
been.
So my little brother was nice and let him stay
Right.
that night, and I never heard from them again. But yeah, I walked by and I saw that bread wadded up, and I was like, oh my God, that's their food. Nah, this ain't happening.
Yeah.
Dude,
Man,
I'm
hey, I'll
telling
tell you what, you go out there, you're in the middle of BFE, and you get done with the gig, and it's what you know, those gigs that are like suicide missions, right? You know nobody's there.
Oh, for sure.
Right? You know nobody's gonna be there. Your first question is after the last song is played, your
Something
first
we can
question,
dance to.
No, it's like, so how much did we make in merch? Because that's all you're gonna make.
Oh, for
Yeah.
sure. Exactly.
Yeah, that's
I've-
all you're gonna make.
I've been to a gig where I actually helped sell merch, and people would look at it. How much is this? You give them the price. It's not that much.
They wanna haggle you.
Yeah, no, like it's not worth that much. How about $5 for it? It's like it costs more than $5 for the shirt.
At some point, you're like, hey, we'll take gift cards.
Hey, what do you do for a
You
living?
ain't-
We'll take coupons.
Hey, so has there ever been a band for either of y'all that opened for y'all that wound up doing something?
Man, I gotta think. Cause at least the bands that have opened up for us with that, there were actually opening acts. Is when I was playing behind the singer. That was the main artist. So I was the guy in the shadows, and man, I don't
Played
know.
with Gary
And-
Holmes, right?
Well,
You
yeah,
played
and
Gary
Johnny
Holmes?
Bustamante and Johnny Martinez and guys like that, and they, we've had guys. I don't know if they did that, because here's the deal. There's a lot of, everybody knows if they're watching this, music is no bitch. The game is no bitch. You think you're gonna make it your bitch, but it swallowed a lot of people up.
How about you?
Man, if it would have been a country deal
Yeah.
with Big Dave and them, because we did get out there.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I mean, that's kind of a weird conversation.
Hey, did you ever open
I've
up
got
with somebody that got famous? Like, yeah, that's
Well,
I've got
or
some
the
friends
other way
that have
around.
gone
Yeah,
and played for famous people,
Yeah.
right.
members,
Right,
but not
right.
necessarily a full band. I'd have to think about that one for a while.
I have one. So we back in the I guess it was the mid '90s. We played a place in Waco called Cadillac Jacks,
I remember.
and we were playing top 40 country, starched everything. I think even your socks were starched,
Oh,
and
good Lord.
cowboy
I know.
hats, the whole bit,
I know who
right?
you're going to say now.
So it's one of those deals, man, where you get grandfathered in to a venue if you're the first band there,
right.
and they just haven't had time to book anyone else. So we were doing like Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Come back the next week, do a Thursday. Come back the week after that, do Friday. We 7-8 times a month.
Right.
We had it going.
Right.
And on one of these Thursdays, they're like, "Hey, we're gonna put a guy out in front of y'all, and he'll get up there and do a couple songs, and he's got some cats with him." Sure, why not? And we roll up, and this place at like 5:00 is packed,
Wow.
and it's already getting rowdy. There's broken glass,
Of course.
and
yeah,
a
of
lot of
course.
kids, and we're like, they heard about us.
Yeah.
You think your
Right.
ego's got
Dude,
your
they,
ego was big.
Word-
they
the word
heard
is
we-
out.
They heard we play a mean Cowboy Rides Away.
The word is
And,
out.
Your ego got a little too big for it.
And so the cat gets up there and he opens up, and we're like, all right, a 180 from what we were doing. And we get up and do our thing, and they're gone. This place empties out, man.
That's always fun.
And
Yeah,
it
that's
was
always
good
fun.
That's always
times.
fun.
So then our Thursday, Friday, Saturday, we come back the next week, and they're like, "Hey, we're gonna go ahead and just get you guys next week on a Friday." Well, okay. And then we come back about a week later, and it's like, "Hey, we're gonna go ahead and get you guys next month
On a
and-
Saturday.
and maybe do it Thursday one week." And so we're like, "Well, what's going on?" Well, that cat that opened up for us, he had the fistful of gigs. It was Pat Green.
Oh,
of
course.
well, fuck yeah. I remember
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I remember
And
that.
so it was like, but hey, in saying all that, I knew the first time I saw him, because like we're talking about Cobain, and it was so different.
Right.
Yeah.
It was so different than 90s country that it was like watching
A breath of fresh air.
a
son.
breath of fresh air. The kids back then, they didn't want to hear Cowboy Rides Away or Clint Black or Alan Jackson or anything.
I wanted to hear
They
that.
wanted to-
Yeah.
Mishmash rock.
You know what? And there was a
And
band.
there was energy. There was a lot of energy.
Right.
There was a band. They didn't open up for us because honestly, there was a band that played before us, but they didn't open up for us. But I did a deal with Josh Langston. I forgot where the hell we were at, somewhere in North Texas, and we played after the Turnback Troubadours. And,
Oh, yeah,
and they
yeah.
were young bucks, but they were so nice, and I just barely had heard of them. And anyway, and I remember they were hauling ass like, I got another show, because it was early in the daytime, maybe around 5 or 6. Go, no, we're gonna go see somebody else play tonight, like in North Texas. But anyway, but they were so nice. But they had talked. I mean, Josh Langston was going, that's the Turnpike Troubadours. I didn't know anything about them. A year later, dude, I was loving all of their songs, dude. Those guys were really
great.
Man. And dude, so the deal is with them, they took a chill out session, right? And then they took a chill out for a little bit. And now they came back, right?
Yeah,
with the sober singer, right?
Yeah, they sold out Red Rocks.
Wow, dude, that's crazy that they know about them in Colorado,
Yeah.
which is crazy. And I don't mean that bad. What I'm saying, those guys are from Oklahoma and they play the Texas circuit.
Right.
So that's almost like, they're not local boys, but we almost adopted them as that. They're right there in Oklahoma. So them to be that big, play Red Rock in Colorado, that's badass, dude. I mean,
Yeah,
'cause
yeah,
you saw them
yeah.
grow up
Yeah.
almost. You saw them as young, same thing when it was whenever we saw Cross Canadian Ragweed almost become famous before our eyes. Remember that?
Yeah, yeah.
But anyway, but you
Yeah.
were saying something, John? What, brother?
Well, it was like everybody likes a comeback story.
Yeah.
And,
Right.
Well,
and they did have some, good hits, and then wow, he's out, and I guess he married.
I don't know the story.
Didn't he marry like Miranda Lambert, or was it Miranda Lambert was his old lady and broke up with him, and she realized, hey, he's on a different level than I am, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And did you ever notice that Miranda Lambert, when she came out, she had that she had some Americana in her heart and soul.
The swagger.
She did.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
was Texas country right there. Thing is, she snuck it in that Nashville thing, but it was always but if you're from Texas, you saw how she did it. She was badass. Anything going on, Mr. Lewis?
Nothing going on in the music world except for Mark Lanigan dying, which I'm sad about.
That was
But
terrible.
That was terrible.
I remember hearing about the Screaming Trees back in speaking the whole night. We should have brought that up back in the 90s thing. Remember that, Sammy?
Yes.
Screaming Trees. Dude, I only knew a couple of songs. I'm not going to sit here and say like I knew all this stuff, but the stuff that I did know was badass.
It was
Oh,
on
yeah.
that what was it called? The single soundtrack.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. That's
So
right.
the
There's
funny
a couple
thing
good bands on that one.
Yeah, dude, so here's what's crazy is the single soundtrack. It had all the heavy hitters. It had a Pearl Jam and Soundgarden, and I think Alice in Chains, and then the
That was
Screaming
so-
Trees. And it's like, well, who are these guys? But dude, every song was great.
That
Those dudes were
was
great.
Now that was I remember that
Company You
movie.
Keep.
So Pearl Jam was already huge. So was
Yes.
Soundgarden. Everybody, right?
Yes.
Okay. But I do remember seeing that movie when those guys were out. And I do
And
remember that.
I'll admit it. I'm not scared. That is the first time I heard the Jimi Hendrix Waterfall was on that soundtrack.
Oh really? Wow,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
I
I'd
can't
only
remember
heard
it.
I'd
It
only
could've
heard a
been that
couple
one.
hits,
Yeah.
but that was on there, and I was like, man, that's the greatest thing I've ever heard.
Sure. The King did, and then Bruce Lee also from Seattle.
Very true.
We're not.
Yep.
Maybe ish. I'm not gonna
Ish,
just.
well-
There's some guys. Well, he's originally from. I know.
No,
I
yeah,
know the story.
he's originally from L.A. Then
Yeah.
he went to lived in.
He's
Yeah.
buried in Seattle.
Yeah, he's buried.
So
in
you
Seattle.
have
Yeah.
Kurt
He's the- he
Cobain,
said- yeah.
Bruce Lee, Jimi Hendrix,
Right.
right?
Jimmy's from
7 Club.
Seattle.
Jimi Hendrix from Seattle.
What else you got, Lewis?
Squire is set to release their 40th anniversary gold guitars.
Well, you know what? Fender Squire right now makes a good guitar.
It does.
Here they are. Let me put
You
them
get
on.
some pictures? Now we're talking. Those are
Very
kick-ass,
nice.
dude.
Jazz
Very nice.
Masters.
Oh, dude, I dig that telly on the far right.
I dig the Jazz Master.
I knew you were gonna say
I
that.
want to take the jazz.
Can you make it a little bit bigger, brother?
No, but I gotta zoom in.
Hold on. He's got it. Lewis got it. Bam. I like that blue one right there. That's sick. But also the one in the middle, that Strat right there in the center. Only thing, I'm not a big fan of big headstocks. They're all beautiful guitars, dude.
Oh yeah.
They're all beautiful guitars. Well, matter of fact, Gabriel, click on your picture
Which
and
one?
and point to that guitar right there, up there. Look,
Oh, okay, yeah.
Look up there. Just point to it. Bam. That is this. Both of those guitars are Squires. I forgot, but the one on top, that was Sammy gave me that guitar. And,
Oh, there it is right there. Yeah, the gold one.
What'd you say, Sammy, about that Squire? It was, and a Japan Squire.
Yeah, it was a Japanese Squire. I think it was like an 86. 80,
Wow,
82.
those were the badass ones right there. Those
Bad
are
to
the
the bone.
And you know, I'm not gonna lie. There was a time when they weren't really whatever. They were what they were. But right now they're making good Squires. I tell you what. Go ahead, brother.
I'm going to take a break. Why don't y'all take care of our
Oh yes,
sponsor here?
yes. Let me do that right here. I'll sit over there right where you're at, John.
Yeah. Get on Sammy.
Oh my God.
Transition.
I should have done that a while ago. But anyway, check these out, folks. This is a pedal company out of Waco, Texas, called PhD. Or is it? PhD Pedals, out of Waco, Texas. They're handmade boutique pedals. He's got all your your overdrives, your distortions, your fuzz. But he's got more than one of them. I wish I had time to play some. But they're some of the best pedals I ever heard. You can ever imagine like what boutique is, like a boutique sound, and then he has some way to have it to where it's in your face. I don't know what it is. It's like, but you can control it. I guess he has a contour button to where it'll be like if you want it to be bam right in your face or back off a little bit. But man, he has a great way of making pedals. I'm telling you, check out PhD Pedals. He also has sound bites. If you check it out, I think he's the guitar player on there, but check it out.
It's
PhD
local here in Waco, right?
Yeah, right here in Waco, Texas, and we need to have him on to talk pedals. But man, they are great. I mean, which one have you tried out with these?
I know I've played the Isosceles. A friend of mine has.
The Isosceles looks like
the-
looks like a tube screamer, but it's not a tube screamer.
No, a friend of mine has I think it's called the Dracone, the Boost.
The booze.
And
Dracone?
and then another buddy of mine has a double pedal that Corey made for him. Corey Hackworth,
Oh, really?
who's a great guitar player in his own right. And I think that I guess the best way I could sum up his pedals
John, you cross there, brother.
is like, okay, so you have a guitar, a pedal that's like a tube screamer or whatever, right?
Right.
And for what it is, let's pause.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh,
But most guitar players will tell you the biggest drawback of about a tube screamer is the switch. It always goes out.
and the knobs too.
Right, and the
brother.
knobs. And so then that kind of
Gosh,
started this whole thing, like who's gonna build a better tube? A tube screamer has this thing that it does with the mids, and so and that's just one example, but almost every pedal that's like second, third generation had shortcomings, right? So that opens a window or opens the door for guys to come in and say, like, you know what I like? I like this about the tube screamer, but it needs more whatever.
Right.
Right. And so our good friend Corey has addressed that problem with several designs. The OCD is one of them too, where he took. I think we talked one day, and he has a OCD circuit, but it doesn't have that harshness that an OCD can have.
Right.
Right. And so anyway, yeah, check them out. I think the last one I played was Isosceles.
But not something else, Gabriel.
Oh, okay.
But
Check that out.
But anyway, what is that? Oh, boy, what is that right there?
That is a
Bring back the George Harrison Rosewood Telecaster. Wow.
that looks really neat.
Also looks very expensive,
Behind you.
but that looks beautiful.
Oh, okay.
That looks beautiful. Oh, the same one he had on that. Okay.
Yeah,
So it's a reissue? No, it wasn't. Couldn't have been on that one. But boy, that is badass.
There's a clip of the dude from the Queens of the Stone Age. He plays the real.
No
George
way. How did
Harrison.
he wind up getting that?
I don't know, man. They did
Sold to the devil.
they did a run. Fender and Gibson. They did a run of videos last year where they would just take guys and let them play like the such and such Strat or so and so's.
Right.
There's a clip today of Los Lobos playing Joe Walsh's Les Paul that he used on the Hotel California song.
Wow, dude, that is
You
crazy
know,
how people get that. you
And
know?
anyway, so one of those clips was, what's his name? Josh Home from Queens of the Stone Age playing the George Harrison telly. And he plays it for like 45 seconds and he just gives it back. and he's like, man, there's some things that you should not touch.
Exactly.
And he said, and that's the George Harrison. It's like, you know
you
what,
ain't
man,
kidding,
I feel
dude.
you. I feel
I
you.
agree. I agree. That being said, though,
Hey, I saw the Stevie Ray Vaughan #1. I've seen it a couple times.
Oh wow!
Would you
right.
play it?
No,
Someone
you
said
can't.
here-
Shit, you kidding me?
I took it out and played. No, it was in a glass case.
Yeah, no.
No,
he-
someone said here. Do you want to play it?
No. Oh, if I wanted to play,
No,
No,
that's what
I
I
would
asked you.
play
It's
it.
like someone took it out and says here. Do you want to play it?
yeah, I would be disrespectful not to.
I don't know, man.
I would have. SRV was man.
What,
he was
is that
hell
it?
yeah.
I don't know.
Is that it right there?
No, not
Okay,
at all.
right.
I don't know.
Check
I
those
mean,
out.
But
that's pretty deep.
what are these right here, brother?
I believe those are the new Gretches for 2022.
That's kick ass. I dig them. I dig them. You know, whenever you play different guitars, you know, like say if I have a gig Saturday, and I'm playing a Strat that week, more than likely going to play a Strat. More than likely, if I'm playing a Telly that weekend, whatever. Same thing with Les Paul. But a Gretsch, it seems like one of those guitars you just can't get 100% used to. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the bridge. I think it's the bridge. I don't know what it is.
I think it's like the way the strings are set up at the bottom is what throws me off.
I don't know what it is. I mean, I love the way they sound. They're beautiful. Of course, Brian
they
Setzer
sound
kills them.
Yeah, they sound fantastic in a jazz setting. It's
Oh,
just
for
that
sure.
whenever I started playing one of those, I just could not find a good resting place for my hand. You know,
Right,
just
right,
the
right.
strings.
I
Yeah.
can't find a good resting place for my stomach
On
because
a-
they're flat.
Oh, right. I hear you.
Well, that's too many tacos right
I
there.
hear you.
No,
Like your belt buckle.
But
okay.
anything else you got, Mr. Lewis?
that's genetics.
I'm still looking for more.
I got one. I got a question for Sam. When is NAMM coming up?
Oh, Nam.
So is there going to be a NAMM anymore? Because I
Where's
know
Nam?
I'm not sure. I know last year
Uh-oh.
they did like a virtual NAMM.
Uh-oh.
right.
This year, so here's the deal.
Something wrong? What's wrong?
What
Lewis?
happened, Lewis?
The speaker went off and then came back on.
Okay, okay.
So check this out. So what I heard was that like whether there's a NAMM or not,
Right.
at least the last 2 years or the year before COVID, there was a ton of dealers that were like, why are we doing this again? Because their biggest complaint is that you can't sell at NAMM.
Oh, right. That's right. Because he's trying out the new year.
Right. So you're talking about trying to, at NAMM, it's about builders trying to convert interest into sales from retailers.
You
right?
know, it's like those big old boat shows that have that only dealers can go to.
Yeah.
It's like stuff like that.
Oh,
But,
okay,
But because of
okay.
the online thing, and this is pre-COVID, because of the online thing, they were like, well, dude, we're getting more sales online than we are through these retailers.
Right.
And people were so freaking bored, they were spending their money. They're like, well, what if I got freaking die tomorrow?
Dude, and so they hit all the
I think
so,
it's Les Paul.
so I've heard this from like pedal builders, especially that like there's so many rules at NAMM. You can't be this close to this whatever, and then they have different tiers for where you're basically
I don't think you pay taxes online.
no, you do now.
Yeah, you
You do now?
But
Yeah.
but here's it's
Yeah,
it's
that's
kind of like the guitar shows, right? It's like where's Gibson at? Hit everybody around the Gibson booth up the rent for that space a little bit. Where's Fender at? Okay, so all the spaces around Fender are going to be a little bit more because there's more traffic, right?
Right.
Right.
So NAMM's kind of the same thing. So a lot of builders, I think a year before last or whenever the last time they had it, like Peavey was one of the biggest ones. They just rented a booth and put a table out there with a banner that said Peavey, and that was it. They didn't even.
Wow.
There wasn't even a person there,
Yeah.
dude.
Y'all know about us already.
Yeah.
I mean, we've
yeah.
been around for a whole minute.
So what you get now is like a lot of guys that are like, well, man, I don't know if we're going back to NAMM,
Wow.
you know, and so
I think that when they don't, there's going to be some loose tickets, and guys like me and Lewis, like we were talking earlier, Lewis, we'd love to go. I mean, it still
Just
has,
walk
still,
around.
it
It's
still
still-
has that.
Yeah.
it's still NAMM.
It's still NAMM.
Now I know what gives NAMM a run for its money is that Sweetwater Expo.
What is that? I never heard of that till just now.
Dude, it's like a it's not really a NAMM where people come and set booths up, but it kind of is. But they focus a lot on like the guests and performances and
No way.
workshops and what do they call them? Like panels and clinics and all
Right.
that.
Okay.
And that's gotten a lot of traction.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. And I'm sure geared too, though, right? I mean,
Oh yeah, because
For sure.
Sweetwater, right?
yeah, I mean, yes. Yeah, I love Sweetwater, dude. There's a lot of music stores. I remember a long time ago, all we had was Musician's Friend. Remember that?
Yeah.
But but right now, dude, there's so many options right now, dude. And I don't want to get into it, but man, Sweetwater's one of the best ones. I love Sweetwater.
They're the OG of the catalog.
Yeah.
They still got. I still once in a while I'll get a Sweetwater catalog.
Yeah. And I'll look through it.
Me too. I was gonna say the same thing. Like
I'm
it was
not gonna
Musician's
lie.
Friend. I'd look right through
I
it.
kind of want a drum set.
What are you doing in the bathroom?
What are you doing in the bathroom for 3 hours?
That's where I'm looking at these
Sweetwater
drums.
catalog.
Anything
My
else,
legs are
Lewis? Or
numb.
we good?
I think we're good.
All right, cool.
Because they keep going on, and we could be here all night.
Well,
But-
cool. But anyway, folks, we're gonna try to do this every Tuesday night. Check us out. I'll try to put out a good reminder for you folks if you can like and maybe subscribe, please. But you'll find us here on this channel. Be sure to like